welcome guys. Let me introduce you to methods. So we created the box class without methods. You will rarely create classes without methods, though it's possible. Most of the times you will use methods to access instance variables of a class, and you can also define methods that are internally used by the class itself, in addition to defining methods that are used to access data. So in our box mode example, it makes no sense to actually have the volume computed by the box class. Okay, so instead of box of the volume being dependent on the box size, we are going to add a method. So let's first add our main class. Let's say using, remember this is a continuation of the previous class when I introduced classes. That is lesson 11. So let's add our main let's add our main class. Oh, my machine is misbehaving today, you will bear with me. So we'll say public static void main, and we have string args, and we have square brackets followed by our curly braces, and in here we are going to, so let's have the class, let's define the class outside here just like we did in the other class, so that everybody can follow. So class box, we give it double width, we give it double height, we give it double depth, give it double depth. So right now, as you can see, we are actually displaying a volume from the class, as you can see. So here we want to display volume, so the method is returning void, so you can say is a void volume, takes no parameters, and we have curly braces, and inside curly braces we just want to print volume. So system.out.println, system.out.println, we want to print volume. So we are printing width multiplied by length multiplied by height, width multiplied by length multiplied by height. That is what we are. Also, let's change this to length. Yes, change that to length. So far we have our class here, and the class is actually displaying our volume right in there. It's displaying our volume right in there. Of course, we are using a method to display, so this is a method. Now the method has a return type. This one is returning no value, so we say void. Then it has the method name. Then this one, in here we put parameters. Let me zoom out, guys. I'm sorry. Just zoom out so that it's visible. Okay, I hope that's fine. Alright, so this is our method, the method that we are using to display the volume. and a method needs to have what type of data that method is actually returning. Now our method is returning nothing, so we give it void, followed by the method name. The method name for this method is volume, and then in this parenthesis what we put inside are actually the parameters. So we have the parameter list in there, and then we have the method body inside here. Alright, so now we can come inside our main. We have our main here, so inside our main we can now we can actually create objects. For example, the first object, say box. We said to create objects. To create an object, you need to use the class name. The class name is box, then followed by the object name. So I will call it my box1. Then I'm going to say new, and the reason as to why we use the new keyword is because we want to allocate memory for that object. And then here we are going to it's actually new box, and followed by parenthesis. So we're going to create another object that is box. We say box my box2, and this is equal to new box, So we have created two objects so far. So we need to assign values to box1, or rather my box1. We want to give my box1 values. So to do that, we say my box1 dot length, we can give it 10. We say my box1 dot width, we can give a width of 20, and we say my box1 dot height, we can give it a height of 15. Again, we need to also assign values for or to my box2. So again, to do that, we come here and we say my box2 dot length is equal to, let's give it 8. My box2 dot width, we give it 5, and it's supposed to be with this one. Let me change this a little bit. Okay, so again come here and we say my box2 dot height in this case, and we give a height of maybe 6, So now we want to display the volume for box 1 and the volume for the second box. So display volume for my box 1. So to display volume for my box 1, we just need to call the method that we declared, the volume method. So we need to say my box 1 dot volume, my box 1 dot volume. Yeah, and that's it. Then to display volume for my box 2. So display volume for my box 2, we simply have to call the volume method on my box. So we are invoking that method. So my box 2 dot volume again, and then that's it. So we have actually called. Okay, so when you look at this program, my box 1 dot volume, this one is actually calling the volume that is actually relative to my box 1. Then my box 2 dot volume is calling the volume that is relative to my box 2. So each time a volume is invoked, it is going to display the volume for that specified or for that specific box. As you can see, the values here are different. So when we invoke volume, these are the values, volume 1, my box 1. When we invoke volume on my box 1, then these are the values that will be used. When we invoke volume on my box 2, these are the values that will be used. So each time we call or we invoke volume, it is going to display the volume of the specified box. So let's run this and see how it's working. Boom. So it's showing us 3000 and 336. Those are the volumes. So again, I repeat, my box 1 dot volume here is is calling the volume that is relative to my box 1, and my box 2 dot volume is calling the volume that is relative to my box 2. So you can see now we have added a method to our class, and the method is this one. The syntax is what the method returns, the method name, then parameter list here, okay, and then the method body. Now, okay, so what is really happening when we are calling a method? When my box 1 here in this example, when my box 1 is executed, this one here, when my box 1 dot volume is executed, the Java runtime system transfers control to the code defined inside volume 1. So control comes to this code here, and then these values are replaced with the values that we assigned here, and the volume is actually printed. Okay, so once the statements inside volume are executed here, once these statements inside this volume are executed, the control is actually returned to the calling routine, and execution is going to begin with the line following the method call. So execution will then come here to this line. Okay, so essentially a method in Java is a way of implementing some subroutines. So you can move from control, moves from here, goes to the method, then comes back. Now, so moving the computation of volume to the class box is not the best way, since another part of your program might want to know the volume of the box but not actually display its value. So a better way would be to actually have the volume compute the volume of the box and then return the results of the computation to the caller. Instead of this volume printing this, it should return the volume results to the caller. So we can change this code here. We can come here, because right now we are saying void volume. Why void? Because we are not returning anything, but we want to return a value, so we're going to say double. We want to return the results. We want to return volume, and volume is of the type double. I'm just working on this example, I'm improving it. So I'm going to remove this statement here, and we want to return. What are we returning? We are returning length multiplied by width multiplied by height. This is what we are returning. So in this case, what is going to be returned, or the results of this method will be the volume itself, and that volume can be passed to the caller. That volume can be passed to the caller. So we need to make a few changes right here. When we come inside here, we will have to let's define now a volume. So let's say double vol. Let's declare that, because I will want us to really use this variable up next, because we are not just displaying results. So we have assigned values. For the values that I have assigned, I'm going to leave them the way they are. So the changes that I'm going to make are down here when we are displaying the volume here. I'm going to make changes. So I am going to actually let's get the volume of the first box. So to get the volume of the first box, we will have to assign to call. We have to call the volume method, and whatever that method returns, we need to store it in the vol variable. So we're going to say vol is equal to my box 1 dot volume. In other words, whatever my box 1 is returning should be stored. Whatever my box 1 is returning is gonna be stored inside the vol variable. That is for box 1. So we'll need to print it. We'll need to print. You can say system dot out dot print ln. We are printing vol. Then again, we will need to get the volume for the second box. For second box, volume for second box. Again, to do that, we're going to say vol is equal to my box 2 this time dot volume, my box 2 dot volume, and then we will need to print vol. So system dot out dot print ln. What are we printing? We are printing vol. We are printing vol. Now I want you to check out if we run this. Let's run this code. Let's run it. Let's check the results. You see the results are still 3000. Then the other one is 336. Now what is new? What is new? What have we really added? Now we have added a return type here. We want the method to return something, and we have added a return type. We said return, so the value here is actually computed, and then that value is passed to where that method is called. Now the type of data that is returned by the method must be actually be compatible with the return type specified by the method. Right now we have specified let's go back to our method. We have specified double. So if we multiply a double and a double and a double, are we getting a double? Now if we specify something like this, let me show you. Int. Okay, you see an error, right? Because that int is not compatible. You see, type mismatch, cannot convert from double to int, because what we are getting here as a result is double, and we are and the return type of the method is integer. So unless we do explicit conversion, that cannot happen. So that's what I mean. Make sure that the return type of the method is actually compatible with whatever the method is returning. Number 2, the variable that is actually receiving the value returned by a method, for example, we have used vol there, must also be compatible with the return type that is specified by the method. Right now we have used, you say here, we say double vol because we are storing a double variable into volume. Again, these must be compatible, because you can see if they are not, of course there will be an issue. You change this to int, that is going to show you an error right here where we are calling, where we are storing the results of our method into the vol. Now if you hover here, you check, you'll see type mismatch. So they need to be compatible. They need to be compatible. Again, that is also important. Now the program that we have just written here can be written more efficiently by eliminating the vol variable and use the call to volume in the println statement directly, instead of us we can eliminate. It will be more efficient if you're going to eliminate this. Let me show you. You eliminate this variable, and then we are not going to assign this variable and then print it and all that. So instead of doing that, let me show you. Instead of doing that, we can just call the method directly in our print statement. So we can come and say system dot out dot print ln, and then what we are doing here, let's first say volume is, it says volume is, and then let's put a plus. Then we can call here my box 1 dot volume. We can call my box 1 dot volume right there, instead of us calling and then printing. We are trying to come up with a more efficient way. You can still do the same with for my box 2. So system dot out dot print ln, we can say volume is, and then here we put a plus, then we invoke volume on my box 2. We are invoking volume. Yes, that's it. So it will be printed directly. We don't have to use two statements. Now when we come, let's run this and we check what is happening. Done that. Now you see volume is 3000, volume is 336. So it's very important that we see what is happening. Okay, so we have added a return type. We are still improving on our program. Now, most methods need parameters. These parameters will allow them to operate on maybe a variety of data or to be used in numerous slightly different situations. Okay, if we just write methods without parameters, these methods will have limited use. Yeah, but we can modify these methods and give them parameters. So you may be asking yourself, what is a parameter? A parameter is simply a variable that is defined by a method that actually receives a value when the method is called. Okay, then I'll talk to you about an argument. So like you see here, we have all these instance variables, but we would want that our volume here to actually take in parameters. Then when we are calling this method, we supply values that can be replaced in those parameters, and those values that we supply are known as arguments. I'm going to deal with that in a few. So it's of essence for us to know. So to improve the box class, we can use a parameterized method instead. You can use a parameterized method instead. Okay. While our method here, like right now, we have not used a parameterized method. While this particular method is working, this method is troubling. It's troubling because, one, it is clumsy. You see, every time we need to repeat all these assigning volumes and all that, it's clumsy, and if it's clumsy, it means now it's prone to errors. We can simply make errors. Okay. Again, well-designed Java programs access instance variables only through methods that are defined by their class. So in future, you can change the behavior of a method, but you can't change the behavior of an exposed instance variable. So a better approach is normally to create a method that takes the dimension as its parameters and then set each instance variable appropriately. So we need to allow to create a method that is going to take these variables as parameters. Okay, it's going to set these variables. It's going to take these variables as parameters. Now, let's take a look of this. Now, I'm going to sustain this method right now. We have this method here, double. Let me sustain that, but let me create another method that is going to set the parameters. Let me call it void set dimensions. So set dim, and this is actually going to take double w comma double L for length comma double h for height. Remember, we said what we put in there is a parameter list. Okay, then I'll say width is actually w. I'm gonna say length is actually the L is L. Then I'm gonna say that height is actually h. Height is actually h. That is what I'm gonna say. Now we want to use that. We want to use this method to set up dimensions. Now when we come into our main, we want to initialize each box. Right now we are not going to assign values this way. Let me remove this. We want to initialize each box. So to initialize each box, we need to set dimensions. We're going to call the method that sets dimension, and the method that sets dimension is setDim. So we're going to say my box1. If we want to initialize my box1 dot set dimensions, setDim, and setDim is taking in 3 parameters. As you can see already here, it's showing us 3 values that we need to fill. So the first one is 10, the second one, let it be 20, and the third one, let it be 15. Okay. So we have set values for my box 1. So we can set values also for my box 2. We can say my box 2 dot set dimensions. Again, we supplied 3 values, maybe 3. We give it 6 maybe, and we give it a 9. Okay, 9, not 90. Okay, so we have set dimensions here using the set dimensions method. Let me put a comment here and say initialize each box. We have initialized the values of each box. Now again, below this we are going to get the volume. Let's get the volume of the first box. The volume of the first box. So to get the volume of the first box, of course, we need to invoke the volume method. So we say we will have to initialize to declare here the vol variable double vol, so that now we can use it down here to actually get volume. So vol is equal to my box1 dot volume. My box1 dot volume is equal to my box1 dot volume. Okay, and basically we can print vol, but we already let me remove these ones here first. We're gonna yes. So okay, so we can print vol system.out.println. We can print vol, or okay, and then we get the volume of the second box. We do that by also saying that vol is equal to my box2 dot volume, and again we say we print, so system.out.println. What we are printing here basically is volume. Yes, so you can see we have created a method to set our dimensions, to set our parameters, and then we have called this method, we have used this method to actually initialize the values for our box. So we can run this. We just check what it gives us. So see 3,162. As you can see, 10 times 20 times 15 is 3,000. 3 times 6 times 9 is 162. Remember that the set dimension or setDim method is used to set the dimensions of each of these boxes. Let me stop there. In the meantime, I'll meet you in the next lesson, where I'll be talking about constructors.